Opening a bank account in America. You might be a new person in America and you want to open a bank account. What are the things needed? What is the procedure? And what things should you consider before opening a bank account? I will start with the documents needed. That's number one, which might be uniform to all financial institutions. But what other things you need to consider before you go to Bank A versus Bank B? So the things you need to open a bank account. Number one, which without you can't open, it's a social security number. You must have SSN, social security number, which can be used to open a bank account. How do you get a social security number? There will be other video to talk about it, but obviously you cannot just come there as a visitor and have a social security number. You cannot come for a conference and get your social security number. You must be authorized to work to get a social security number. And B1, B2 visiting visa, you don't need to work, and you are not allowed to work, and you don't need to have a social. And if you don't have a social, meaning you are not able to open a bank account. So that's number one. Number two is the identification, government issued ID. So the government issued ID can be, if you are still brand new, you can still have your passport from your country because it's issued by your government and you are allowed to come to America with that one. Or you have a state issued ID in the state you live, or the driving license in the United States. Whatever state you are, you have the driving license, that is the government issued ID, issued by the US government, or the government of your country, your national, your passport. Not this what you call the national ID, no. Not the driving license of your country. Those are not considered in many places. They want to have your passport as the ID. Unless otherwise you already have the government issued, the US government issued ID. So that is another item you need to have. The third item you need to have is the proof of the address. Residence, where do you live? They want to know your address. So where do you live? To prove, usually you can have maybe a utility bill which has the address where you live, or you have mail is written here, maybe someone written a letter to you. Let's say if you are green card holder, you come as a green card holder, you received your social security number, it will come with the address already, that's the address, kind of that. Or when you went to, you go to open the, get the ID, it will have the address where you live. So you need to prove the residence ID, the residence where you live. You don't need to prove any income to have the bank account. It's not allowed that. You don't need to have that one. Obviously, but now it comes to bank. So after having those three documentations, you are allowed to open the bank. So there are a few things. Which bank should you open? I'm not going to recommend a particular bank, but there are two things. There is what we call the traditional bank, just the normal bank like US Bank, American Bank of America, whatever, all these Chase Bank, all these other banks. And there is a credit union. That is another one. And then there are those local banks. There are banks in these particular cities or states. They are not everywhere. So for instance, when you talk about US Bank, you talk of Bank of America, you talk about Chase Bank, those are nationwide banks. There are banks, they are only in certain smaller cities. They are not in everywhere in United States. So which bank should you use? In most cases, the credit union bank have better opportunities than the traditional nationwide bank. That's number one. Number two, the smaller banks in your smaller state, smaller city, those banks also, they have better opportunities maybe in the end to give you good credit or to give you they might have smaller charges on maintenance of that one, of the bank, of your account. So you have to look which one works for you. There are some people who are traveling a lot, so maybe to have a smaller bank, it's not a good idea because you'll be charging a lot when you travel to use ATM, because those smaller banks, they don't have ATM everywhere. So you have to look which bank is going to fit for you. And for whatever reason you want to have, those are the things you need to consider. So go and look for the bank. And it's a good idea to have, if you are in the bank A, to get a credit card from the same bank is usually a good idea, but it's not a mandatory. You can go and get a credit card from another bank, as long as the other credit card, you see the terms and conditions are better offering you than another person, another bank, or another financial institution. That will be something to consider for you. But it's that easy to open a bank account. But as a visitor, you can't. You have to have Social Security, which is going to block many people to have a bank account in the United States of America.